Yes, on a wet Monday morning, it's so interesting, exciting. It just makes the weather feel cooler and smoother this morning. If you're listening to us, this is Lagos Talks 981 as a part of Smooth Breakfast with Kari Baker.
And Valentine Ohu.
And this morning, Ayo is joining us for this wonderful interview that we're going to have. Hello, Ayo.
Hello, Valentine.
Hello again. Listen to that voice. Lagos, we're going to ask really interesting questions. We're going to have a very interesting conversation with a member that's this individual that's in the studio with us. He's running under the umbrella of PDP and campaigning for the senatorial seats. He's seeking to be elected as a senatorial candidate for Lagos West in Lagos State. His name, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour.
Good morning, good to be here. Good morning, Lagos.
So glad to have you in the studio with us.
Good to be here.
So what would you like to be called, Gbadebo or Rhodes Vivour?
Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. Vivour is my last name. Or GRV.
Or GRV,
GRV.
I like that better, GRV. Interesting. So Lagos, you know how it works, all right? So call us. That's the primary mode of communication. We'd like for you to call the number.
Reach out to us on 0144899981. That's 0144899981. You also can reach out to us on WhatsApp. You can do that by sending messages to 0809-444-0981. And finally, your tweets come to at Smooth981FM. And you can use the hashtag LagosTalks981. We see the phone lines ringing already, but we're going to get to those calls just in a little bit.
All right, so feel free to send in your questions via WhatsApp as well, 0809-444-0981. But most importantly, call us on that number, 0144-89981. Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour is here to answer your questions. So we understand that you ran for, the last time you were in this race, in this political scene, you were contesting for local government chairman.
Yes, in charge of local government.
Exactly. And you were under the COA party then.
Exactly.
And we know from your rhetorics then, from your language, you seem to be quite antagonistic of the position at APC, PDP. And now you're running under PDP.
Mainly the APC, because most of the things I was campaigning against were actually the people that are responsible for it are actually the ruling parties, especially in Lagos.
Okay.
APC.
Okay. So now, what changed?
Well, I went through the process. I understood Nigeria for what she is, and I understood that to actually make a difference, you actually need to get in. You cannot just run based on ideas of what Nigeria ought to be without confronting the reality of what Nigeria is, and also the need for structure. A lot of people that make a lot of commentary and they want to do good, they actually have good in their heart to do for the country, but there's a lot of work that goes into politicking, and a lot of those people cannot do that work, and they cannot sustain that work over a long period of time. So going through that whole process, building structures and understanding what it will take to get to the next level, I felt that it was a good move, especially in Lagos State, where the PDP has not produced any local government chairman, no governors, no senators, just a couple of House of Reps and House of Assembly members. And in the Kenya local government especially, the things that I was really campaigning against that got me into politics, the PDP was not responsible for. So I felt it was a good synergy. And also they sponsored the Not Young to Run bill, and that opening, that appreciation for youth was something that also endeared me to the party.
And so was that what gave you the I would say the confidence to jump from campaigning for local government chairman to senatorial seat? Because it's a big leap.
It's a huge leap. It's a huge leap, because even if you look at Lagos in terms of LCDAs, the Ikeja local government is 1 out of 3 LCDAs in that local government, right? So to go from that to almost 27 LCDAs is huge. But then when you have a party structure and you have a party that is supportive of young people, these kind of things can happen.
All right, you talked about structure earlier on.
Yeah.
You said that you have to be in the system to know how to make differences and change.
Yeah.
So if you get into the system, what differences are you looking to correct, to change?
What system are you talking about now?
You're talking about, you talked about the LCDAs. For example, you said that to make effective change, you have to be within, because you know what's going on. So I'd like to know, what have you noticed? What are the things that you've noticed that you'd like to change and correct and implement?
Okay, let's start from in relation to Lagos, then I'll go to Nigeria, then I'll go to my central district.
Okay.
So for instance, in relation to Lagos, I want to see more local government autonomy. Most of the local government chairmen are just sitting ducks, and they're just political machinery. They're not really doing much. You have the governor of Lagos State doing the roads that are supposed to be in Lagos be under the purview of local government chairman, because that's the whole idea, and that's why there's that concept of having so many LCDs.
Sure.
So people can be focused on their particular catchment area. But you find that they're just mini contractors above commissioning. That's one. My central district, it spans from Ikeja local government all the way to Badagry. And you find that it's divided into two: Ikeja division, Badagry division. Badagry division has pretty much been forgotten by its government. For me, there's no government presence there. So that's something that needs to change. Badagry Expressway also needs to be finally worked on and built properly, because it's an international way. In terms of Nigeria, and these are just like bullet points, right? You can get deeper into it. But in terms of Nigeria, for me right now, going on Gold Road, going on the Moabofin, going through Solo and supports Jeremy Khalid, you see all these containers and trucks on the road because of the inefficiencies of our ports, the network that gets to ports, and the amount of traffic that comes into Lagos State. I want to see a situation where not only do we create a satellite sort of system that allows for containers and trucks to park outside Lagos and actually effectively come in, but also the push for ports in other parts of the country to start to work, dredging our waters in like Calabar and others, in all the south and southeast states. Now more port traffic is diverted from Lagos. It will increase the quality of life and the vision that we have, and reduce the cost of moving your goods. Now it's going to about 800,000 naira. About 2 years ago, it was about 250,000 naira. And if you're not paying the right price to the right people, you can be on that queue for almost a month, 2 months. So this is crippling business as well. And then it's causing huge traffic. You come out from a motor and you're just in containers. So these are just some bullet points. And then bigger things like healthcare reform, education reform is very, very important to me. And that's something that I won't be looking at.
All right, Lagos, a quick reminder here. This is the show is for you to call 0144899981. Our guest, the PDP Senatorial candidate for Lagos West, is here. His name is Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour, and we're looking at areas of accountability, policy making, and implementation.
All right, now thanks for highlighting some of the issues you've identified in your senatorial district. But I'd like to also ask you with regards to how you gathered your information. Many times we have representatives announcing what they do, but many times you also need to know how they arrived at their quick wins, if I could put it that way. So was there any form of consultation with the people whom you hope to represent? And how do you hope to ensure that it's the problems that are particular to your senatorial district that you're dealing with, or you hope to deal with?
Okay. Let me start from the last part of this question. The senatorial candidate goes to fight for the rights and benefits to come to his constituency, but also has his voice to push national discourse and to push the nation forward. So there are two different responsibilities. In terms of understanding the issues that are pertinent to different local governments, the process of going through a primary involves you going to these different local governments, sitting down with leaders in those local governments, people that have a say, people that have influence, and courting them, and understanding what is important to them. It involves you going on the roads, going to Alimosho, going to Ajerome, going to Badagry, going to a job, and actually seeing it and feeling it for yourself. Like going from Alimosho to Badagry can sometimes take almost 2.5 hours because the roads are so bad. And when you go through that process and talk to these people, you're also meeting with structures. So for instance, when you go to Badagry, there's local government structure, there are the leaders in the party, then there are party members. These are just regular people that have an empathy or affiliations to the party. So you listen, you talk, you converse, they tell you what is important to them, they tell you what they expect from their representative. So from there you start forming an idea and an opinion about what their priorities are. Now that's one thing in campaigning. When you become, by God's grace, a senator, you now have to manage these expectations with the resources that are available. And for me, like when I decided I want to go in politics, I went back to school. So I have 2 masters, I have a master in architecture, but I went to UNILAG and I got a master's in research and public policy. So I have the idea, at least a theoretical idea, how to build consensus, how to push policy. And the idea for me would be, once one is in power, to actually have consensus moves about what to push. what is the priority? Because you might think that, okay, that road is this important to this community, but that's your opinion. You need to find out what is important to them, right? And that only comes from town halls and constant accessibility and interaction.
All right, thank you very much, Lagos. You're listening to Lagos Talks 981. Our guest is the PDP senatorial candidate for Lagos West, the forthcoming elections, and his name is Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. We'll be entertaining your questions on the number 0144899981 after this break.
Love music. Love life. 98.1.
Actually, you came for the invasion.
No. Hi, Uche.
Yeah, I was
why are you sweating like this?
This
heat is something else.
So,
Even
so
get
it was
how? With my
yeah.
generator.
So you just see your
LG Gen-Cool air conditioner.
How?
You can power a 1 horsepower LG Gen-Cool air conditioner with 0.7 kVA generator and 1.5 horsepower with 0.9 kVA generator. Wow! And I have been suffering all along. You also get 70% energy saving, 40% faster cooling, and still cut down on your electricity bill. Ouchie! Thanks! I never forget that. Where are you off to? I cannot get this. I'm going to the nearest LG store to buy an LG
something. And then sometimes somebody reminds you and you remember that, oh, there was a time I did not know. I did not know that I was actually in this thing.
Because then you were still speaking with regards to it still being a local government level. So when I saw your post, because I went to Ikeja yesterday, and I was like, oh, Senator, check it out. You know, was really, I think it's brilliant that you.
Thank you. You know, sometimes you get so caught up in like what you're doing now, and you almost forget. And it's very bad because you're not as thankful to God anyway as you ought to be, because you are just so engulfed
in the process.
But then when like it takes me back and whoa, wow. God, you brought me this far.
You know, that's the thing they say about preparation. So when the opportunity comes, because you've been going through the processes, you've just been pushing. The opportunity came and you were just ready to seize the moment.
And also remind you that all the things you said that day, there are people who are going to hold you to account. Because there are many people in. I was talking about the first time I heard him speak was at a conference, and he was speaking from a Christian point of view. And then he hadn't even indicated he won the primaries to represent. So there are many things, and a lot of people are looking and holding on to that.
I don't generally say things that I don't mean. I don't see a way of achieving.
A different politician.
I like that last line.
Like I see it. Okay, I see how we can do this. I see how we can potentially finance it. And you just give it your all. And if you can't achieve it, you come and say, "Come, I did this. I did this, and this will what come out to be."
Studio. Okay.
So do you plan more town hall meetings? Do you plan on having more town hall meetings?
The problem with town hall meetings in this country is you have to pay for the transportation to go back home.
Yes.
When I have 500 people come, and I have to give each of them 1,000, that's 500. I just can't. That money I used to do posters, off record like the people for election do.
Sorry, let's go back. After 10 seconds.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Studio, mics are up. Studio is live. Good morning, Lagos. It's 15 minutes past 9 o'clock. You're listening to Lagos Talks 981. It's a part of Smooth Breakfast with Harry Baker
and Valentine Ohu.
And this morning we have a special guest in the studio. His name is Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. He's the PDP senatorial candidate for Lagos West in the forthcoming elections. And we are looking at areas of accountability, policy making, and implementation. Ayo is also joining us for this interview. But Lagos, we're taking your questions on the number 0144899981.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name, please, and where are you calling from? Larry from Amodofi. Please go ahead. All right, Larry. Thank you very much for your question.
Okay, so in terms of, I was actually in Amo yesterday night, meeting leaders of party there. We have a full tour of Amo Dolphin coming up on February 2nd. So we're going to have several town hall meetings with artisans and different groups and associations. So that's not just going to be me, the governorship candidate, Mr. Gbadebo will be part of it, and the House of Rep, current sitting House of Rep member, Honorable Organized, also being part of it, and House of Assembly current sitting Honorable Dick also part of it. So we're going to push to create that synergy of having all the candidates meet in these different town hall meetings. So that's scheduled for February 2nd for 3 days. In terms of the containers and the trucks, the idea is to push for appropriation to, one, ensure that all existing posts are refurbished, dredged, so more traffic can go that way. So it's not an instantaneous fix. It's something where we're going to push for a process that will allow for a more streamlined logistics port system in the entire country, not just Lagos. Another idea that I've been mooted is to have a park that's going to be Ogun State, and I'll start using like these barges to be able to move containers out of that, out from Lagos to this satellite truck place, and also use trains and integration of that. But that's more under the purview of the government of the state.
Okay.
So what I'm looking at is appropriation that can be achieved by the senator and members of the House of Rep.
All right. Lagos, make your call, send in your calls, call in, of course, on 014489981. We'll have messages here. Rafi sent in this first one from Agbara Estate. Rafi says, good morning, Mr. Gbadebo. Contending for a senatorial seat sounds rather interactive, and one would love to ask the question of what common ground qualities your ability, or what common ground qualifies your ability for entrustment. We are aware that most people in the National Assembly go there to satisfy their self-centeredness. How will your candidacy be different so that those who vote you in will have no regrets?
I feel that the first and most important thing will be accessibility. I feel that talking to people, the thing they complain about the most is that we see you now and we'll see you for 4 years until it's time for the next election.
Yes.
And I think just solving that problem alone, where people feel that they have accessibility to you, even if they're not talking to you one-on-one, just creating a system where you can meet with their problems and they feel that you're accessible. You know, it's something that will be able to put one to create a feedback loop. You know, and if you actually truly want to work, you're not going to be running away from people, right? So you want to be accessible to them, and I feel that because I'm a young man, I feel that I have the energy and drive to do that, because by God's grace, the future is still quite young, so I cannot run away from people that we need.
And just to follow up to that, you've mentioned that you hope to have, to be accessible.
Yeah.
But what are the practical ways? So, for instance, some people have asked about your town hall meetings. Some people have asked. Some people employ the use of emails and things like that. So, what's your plan?
So for me, I would want to have a minimum of 4 constituency offices. Now, in these constituency offices, we're going to have people that are local there that represent different communities. So, for instance, in Muslim, we have House of Fulani community, we also have Vivour community, the Donor community. These people are representatives in that office, so they take and push the interests of those particular communities in our local government. In that same constituency office, we need to have at least 3 or 4 lawyers that are able to take up cases for bono to look fight for the rights of people that of that constituency. And then also to create systems where people can actually achieve certain things. So, for instance, having skill acquisition programs there, having a place where you can have evening classes as well, like doing community engagement programs, and then also at the center having a tour of the 10 local governments. So you have a schedule so people know when they're going to be in that local government, and you're not there for just 1 day or 3 hours. You're there maybe from Thursday to Monday. so you can sit down, meet as many people as you can, and also then have larger town hall meetings. Because by the time you are a senator and you call for people to come, they will come because they now have access to somebody that they feel is in power and can push for doing it.
All right. Ladipo sent in this message on WhatsApp. Says, "Good morning. I tried asking the deputy governorship aspirants of your party. She was here, Mrs. Busari. She was here last week on the same show.
Okay.
Yes, on the platform as well. And I tried asking her this question the last time she was in the studio. But better still, I'd like to also throw it at you to win my vote, especially with you having academic background in environmental management. It is obvious Lagos has a huge waste management problem in revenue generation and generating taxes to maintain or sustain its waste management system. Do you think the present Lagos state government is generating adequate taxes from residents to have a cleaner Lagos? Number one question. I want to assume you pay these taxes so you know the rates. Please tell us how much you pay for your present accommodation. So two-part question here.
Okay, well, I have to correct something. I don't have a degree in environmental management. I'm an architect by profession, bachelor's of architecture, master's, and then policy, public policy. Okay, so currently my normal bills are about 3,000 or 4,000 a month, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the truth of the matter is that for a lot of people that's a lot of money. Right? So we have to recognize the level of poverty in the state. At the same time, I feel that the waste is a major resource of Lagos because of the amount of people here, the amount of waste we generate can be it's an industry already, but the value chain can be increased even more. Like you have countries like Norway that are importing waste now because they're taking care of their waste so efficiently and use it for recycling, generate energy, that they now have to import waste, especially dry waste, not organic waste. Now, organic waste can go into fertilizers and organic agriculture, and then dry waste can be used for energy and biomass and recycling to make materials, building materials as well. So this can be an industry that the government actually pushes, not just to have its cartel and its unique party faithfuls to be in control of trucks and all of that and then creating landfills. No, you can create a wider value chain, which is our problem in this country. For instance, the cashew industry in Nigeria, you just have somebody that picks the cashew, dries the cashew, then exports it all. Right? And people are making money, we're clapping, but the value chain can be much more. It can be much more. And that's why I feel we need to get into recycling, we need to get into renewable energy, and we need to push for separation of our waste. So when waste is collected now, dry and wet waste is collected together. We need to create a system in communities where people are incentivized to separate their waste. So your organic rice, stew that you're throwing in the garbage, put it differently. Your papers, your wood, your whatever other plastics, put it separately. That's something we now need to push. So then you start to create a larger value chain.
All right. Let's take this call.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name, please? Hey, Chika. Good to hear your voice. How have you been? Very well then. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. 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 Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Chika. Please hold that thought.
Wow,
Yes.
that's another question.
You answer the questions. We'll remind you right after this break. Lagos, you're listening to Lagos Talks 981. Our guest is Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. He's the PDP senatorial candidate for Lagos West.
This is IBK, aka Spaceship Boy, and you're tuned into Nigeria's #1 radio station. You name it, we got it on Star 98.1.
Sammy,
Love music.
sorry, I was moving up on that. I understand you went to get the power.
And work for every occasion.
Ooh, they're so hot. I'm so jealous.
But babe, it's January. Don't you need to save?
Oh, I am saving. Thanks to Julia's clearance sale, I get to pay less and save more. Hashtag winning.
Yes, from the 14th to 31st of January 2019, get mega flash sales with over 50% off the Infinix Hot 6, Broom 1.5 HP AC, and TCL 43-inch TV at 12 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, and more in the Jumia clearance sale. T's and C's apply. Jumia, save money, shop easy.
That would be a big lift, though.
Hello,
Residential, commercial, and these used to anyway, we'll answer the question.
It was meant to be residential, but the land pressures on anything. I was not residential. If we, if not for just the fact that the owners of the property live there, it's been significantly commercial. And even trying to get commercial. So the idea is to create an alternative where the pressure is not that much around, especially in relation to containers. So if
Population.
AXA HMO is health insurance done right. There is no other service like ours. Customer-centric and customer-tailored. Visit our website, www.axamensar.com, or call 0700 AXA to find out more and make the switch today. AXA Mensar, redefining standards.
I know myself sounding like this, and then the coolness or smooth
I like the way you're saucing your...
You're not gingered enough.
No, but your soft-spoken nature is actually...
Yeah, he's smooth FM guy.
It's good for Lekki and BI.
Yeah.
They are going to go to Keja and word of me.
You have to show anger. No, but you know, you're not asking questions that bring out anger. You know, it's just like, oh, what you do? Okay.
Well, I mean, the good thing about that is that people actually get to listen to you.
Yeah.
So it's not hype.
Yeah.
And it's not hype. So people can hear what you're saying. You know.
Which is important.
Yeah,
I mean, because even look at quality of the questions. These are some very quality questions that people are asking. Like, they know what they're talking about. When you make a lot, like yeah, I'm going again. It makes a lot of noise, it vibrates. But when you just calm down and listen to it again, you guys not say anything.
We're going back. Studio. 10 seconds. Mics are up. Studio is live. We love our Lagos, and you love it too, Lagos. You're joining us for Lagos Talks 981. If this is the first time you're just tuning into Smooth 98.1, this is called Lagos Talks 981, and just by the name, as the name implies, is where you, Lagos, get to talk. You can call us on this number 0144899981 because we have a special guest in the studio with us. His name is Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. He's the PDP senatorial candidate for Lagos West, and he's been answering questions regarding surrounding accountability, policy making, and implementation. Before the break, we had a call from Chika, who asked a few questions and precisely honing in on his requests for the attention that should be paid to Amodov involved.
Yeah, so he asked two questions, and he talked about Badagry Express Road, which was one of the first things I mentioned when I first came in. Because, like I said, I feel that part of Lagos has been pretty much forgotten by the current government and the senators that have been supposed to be representing that constituency for some time.
Yes.
So that'll be one of the major things that I'll fight to push. They've said that appropriation has been made for it, but we've never just seen the manifestation of that appropriation. So one needs to look into that. If funds were released for that, what happened to those funds? So for instance, I know that Tracker and Budget actually put out some information on the amount of money that they appropriated for projects like this, but we've just not seen the implementation of it. So investigation needs to be made into that. And whatever it takes, one needs to fight for appropriation to actually ensure that that road is actually fixed. because international road is a major embarrassment.
Just to told that line that you just charted. Now, how does the money flow? Where does it come from, and how do you know whose hands does it pass through?
Okay, so my understanding is the senator pushes for appropriation so that it's put in the budget. Then from that, money is put to contractors to actually implement those things. Now, there are some crooked ways that I've known legislators to actually take advantage and benefits of that money. So you just see that money was appropriated, but nothing was done. So that's something that OpenAS has been doing very well. Budget and a number of other SERAP has been doing well to actually expose and open up finances and cash flow in the Senate in relation to the executive as well. His second question was about Amodofi and how there are now like a number of containers there, almost like petty terminals, and how it's become commercialized. So for me, the solution to my mind is to push for alternatives for those containers, to get a situation where if you want, because if you live in Port Harcourt and you want to bring in a car, you most likely will send your car to the Lagos port and then go clear it and then take it to wherever you want. You should be able to do that in other parts of Nigeria. If you're in Calabar, you should not be bringing in things to Lagos. So you're just decongesting it so that these places have less traffic and less goods are coming through this place, and it can be more effective in where they need to go.
All right. We have a message here from OBJ from Lekki Aja. OBJ says the gentleman that's vying for senatorial seat in Lagos West District is not different from the past politics or present senators. When he gets there, the first thing he should try and champion is the cancellation of constituency allowance. This is because Constitution does not state this, he says, but the senators in their collusion continue to embezzle the country's commonwealth. Will he be able to champion this? It's one of the vices that's been plaguing our country. Would you?
I feel that people, because some people, first of all, the idea that you base the future on cynicism never moves anything forward. You can all sit down here and be cynical about what we have done in the past. You're just not going to move forward as a country. Any decision you make, you make based on hope, not cynicism. You learn from experience, so you ask these kind of questions, which is good. So now I'm going to answer this question. Constituency allowance in itself, to me, is not a bad thing. It is bad because it is abused. If funds are given to you and you, I just described 5 constituency offices in this conversation. I described lawyers, 5 lawyers in each of these cases.
Yes.
I described the idea of having staff that are pushing the needs for communities and actually solving problems. So for instance, I believe our education system makes us consumers as opposed to producers. We have an education system that tells you, you go to school, you get a job, and you can afford things. We don't have an education system that says you go into school, you learn how to make things and produce things and solve problems. So you come out and have that effect on society. That's why out of 10 containers that come to this country, 8 being empty. Right? So if I want to fight the reformation in education, that's going to be a 2-3 year, 4-year battle even. But if, as part of my constituency project, I have evening classes and after-school classes that actually start to practicalize knowledge, so people are no longer just cramming, they're understanding the chemistry that you learned in school and how it's used to make mokafu, how you know how to make popcorn, and practical things. That's constituency allowance that are going to use to do these things as well. So the idea is, because people just take this and use it for their personal welfare, everybody says these things are bad. But as a senator, your constituents have a huge expectation of you. When they see you, they need you to solve problems, right? And you need to have that effect, because if not, then what's the point? So the idea is, funds that are meant for the constituency, use it for the constituency.
Right, still on money matters, another huge concern for many constituents is the pay of senators. And just to seek your position on this with regards to going for a pay cut. I mean, only recently the Oba of Lagos in a presentation to the Senate had asked that to fund the police, the senator should actually consider a pay cut. With regards to other things, other aspects of society as well, we talked about minimum wage, perhaps considering a pay cut to fund other pertinent issues in Nigeria. What's your position on this? Would you consider taking a pay cut as a senator?
I believe that the entire government needs to take a pay cut. We've seen a situation where a lot of talk about senators, but go look at the monies that are being used to fund the office of the vice president or the president or any of the heads of the ministries. I mean, the entire thing, right? And the idea that we're borrowing money to actually pay these things is actually extremely inefficient and actually very disgraceful. You should not have to be borrowing money to pay salaries consistently. Imagine if it was a company and you're borrowing every year for like almost 16 years and you keep doing things and you don't think, okay, maybe let's do this thing differently. So there's a whole conversation about the efficiency of our government system, which falls into question restructuring and things like that, which is an entire different conversation. What I do know for a fact, because I had a meeting with about 4 sitting House of Reps in the party, and while I was sitting down there, the salaries came in. Right? And I recall that the House of Rep member, she showed me the alert that came to her phone about 600,000 naira. And she was saying, in the party in Lagos, everybody's thinking I'm getting 6 million, but see, she was literally showing me her phone, right? So that's salaries, and then they say that there are other allowances and things like that. These things, a lot more light needs to be shared because I feel that there's a lot of sensationalism around it, and I feel that we generally need to push for a pay cut in terms of the cost of governance across the board. It's not just a Senatorial thing. And as a senator, I'm willing to do that.
You're willing to do that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Keep your calls coming through to the number 0144899981. Femi from Satellite Town sent in a message on WhatsApp. Femi says, good morning, GRV. Satellite Town and Old Ojo Road have been besieged by petrol tankers in recent years because tank farms are springing up along the Jegunegba waterfront. These tank farms are built right in the middle of heavily populated residential areas. A disaster I hope never happens. If you become the senator representing Lagos West, what will be your action towards helping to resolve this problem and averting a pending disaster?
I feel that that's more like the purview of the state government and the state assembly, but using the platform of Senate, one can actually push and fight for certain things and actually use influence to ensure that we direct these things in different ways. It comes back to town planning, right? And the reason why these kind of things will locate around Amodo is because of proximity to Apapa. So that whole idea of making the port system more efficient would also allow for a situation where tank farms can be located a bit more distant from Apapa and might even then be diffused because everybody does not need to be around Apapa where all the crude products are coming in. You understand? So there's too much concentration at this port. That's why you just see the whole place has turned into a mess.
Okay. Let's see who this caller is. Hello, good morning. Okay, we lost that one. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Lagos Talks 981.
Good morning to you. What is your name, please? Senator, where are you calling from this morning?
Right now I'm in traffic.
And how's the weather treating you? All right. Thank you for joining us on the Smoothest Dial on radio. Please go ahead. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, Tammy. Okay, thank you very much for calling that one. You'd have
yes,
response for that? All right.
Yes,
I'll beg you again for the second time during this show, please. Hold that thought. I'll help you. I'll remind you with that. Lagos, if you just joined us, this is Lagos Talks 981. It's a part of Smooth Breakfast with Kylie Baker
and Valentine Ohu.
And of course with Ayo. Lagos, we'll take a break here. We'll be back with our PDP Senatorial candidate for Lagos West is Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. We'll be answering your questions on 0144899981 after this. Outbreaks are very important.
Someone that wants to work for you for free. Someone that wants to work for you for free. So that's a good step.
Do you know how many people have probably told him that?
Yeah, not interested in politics.
But
you want to help me when I win.
Let me just put out.
You are cooking now. So you are not interested. They want to come and eat. After the food is ready. Go bossy. But to be fair, if you offer free services, why not?
Yeah, that just shows that they're relating to what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, you know, every time you hear things like this, unfortunately, you're naturally suspicious.
Yeah.
That's her intention. Because, no, I mean, it's natural. Because obviously, if it's, let me just pitch my tent just in case, so that you remember. It's like, remember when you get
reasonable than your
but you know, the secret in life is that you attract your perspective. It's truly believe that people are good. You just find good people coming to you. It's just very simple. You just find a lot of people that don't take advantage of you. Just always be around you. I don't know, everybody comes to that with different
There's an energy.
But there's an energy. If you just give positive energy, you're coming to me, I trust you, and I'm going to give. You just see that you go to people.
On a general note, how have people received you? Have you seen more young support? You know, have people been more, you know,
on Twitter,
willing to help? Just on Twitter.
On Twitter and on the ground, but you see the problem is that a lot of people that interact with on a daily basis.
Ready? Sorry, Rafa, please, I want you to ask that question again on air. Sude, ask her up. You love it, we love it, and this is your Smooth Style on Radio Smooth 98.1 in time for Lagos Talks 981. We are in the last stretch of the show. Our special guest is Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. He's the PDP Senatorial candidate for Lagos West, and he's been answering questions from different quarters surrounding the issues of accountability, policy making, and implementation. Before the break, we had a call from Temi Thope, who called in traffic in Ikoyi. She mentioned, she says she's not interested in politics, but she's interested in governance and speaking to your passion surrounding education.
Yeah, so what she said resonates with what I said earlier on. I mean, the kids today in school are going to be told that Mongo Park discovered the Niger, even though their ancestors were swimming and bathing in it long before Europe even knew that Africa existed. Right, so is this kind of progressive things that we're teaching actually? I mean, Nigeria first needs to set a vision for itself. What do we want to be in the next 20 years? And that vision is implemented by actually creating an education system that allows for the citizenry to be able to key into that vision and manifest that vision. So by the time you do that, I mean, you look at Scandinavian countries, they're doing away with subjects in classes now.
Yes.
They're just problem solving. So they take principles from different fields and say, okay, we want to solve this problem, so we need this principle from chemistry, and we need this principle from accounting, and we need this principle from management. So you have children that are coming up understanding problem solving, as opposed to reading, cramming, spewing it, and not necessarily understanding the application, the practicality of the knowledge that you've gotten. So you find that a lot of people that went through school come out and find that 80 to 90% of what they learned in school is useless to them. They can't really use it for much. So the education system, because we're in such a dire state and we need to actually leapfrog, our education system actually needs to start preparing the citizenry from primary school to actually start to look at their immediate environment. Like she mentioned about flooding, engineering, these are things that should be brought into the school curriculum. So people from school already have an idea of, okay, you know, this is what we need to do to solve flooding. So it starts to become second nature. Like for instance, you could go to Kogi now, where there's a huge cashew segment there. There's huge cashew plantations and everything. But you find that very few people from Kogi know how to do an RCN test, which is like knowing the quality of cashew. So you see a lot of people bring in these testers from other states. That doesn't make any sense, right? And so, for instance, if I'm in Kogi or if I'm in Lagos now, there should be, in Lagos, let's use Lagos for example, there should be a serious understanding of waste, the value chain of waste, what you can do with waste, chemistry and physics associated with waste, biology associated with waste. You know, so it's in your chemistry classes, in your biology classes, it's things like that. You know, so practical application of knowledge is something that our education system needs to push, and we have a much more productive country.
All right. Now, seeing that you're running for arguably the largest senatorial district in Nigeria, that's Lagos West, comprising of about 10 local government areas. I mean, exactly. It's immense if you even try to imagine the amount of revenue that we generated from those LCDs, and looking at the monumental loss that is experienced on a daily basis through gaps and loopholes. How do you intend, first of all, identify those income generating areas and those that are lacking, and how do you intend to fill the gap?
It all comes out to transparency and accountability. There is a huge amount of money that is undeclared in Lagos State. Even underdeclared, huge amounts of money are undeclared. So I think by the time governance becomes a lot more transparent, becomes a lot more accountable, these are issues that will be solved in that process. Because you have to understand that as a senator, my focus is more on the appropriation of the federal budget. The state assembly's focus is more on the application of the state budget, which ties into my senatorial district in terms of companies and businesses that are localized there. And they will be the ones, in conjunction with me, because under me, I'll have about 20 assembly members that will have a forum. I'll be talking about how to make life better for our constituents like those kids.
All right. Your opposition, you called him, you said you once described him once as somebody, Solomon Adiola, I think, once described him as not being a people's senator. What do you call a people? Who would you call a people's senator?
Myself.
What qualities?
That's my chant. When I say JRV, they say people's senator. It goes back to accessibility. It goes back to a focus on your constituents. It goes back to the idea that you don't want to be a senator in Lagos and trying to become governor of the state. It goes back to the idea that you represent everybody just by nature. Like my family, my father's side is from Lagos Island, my mother's side is from Abia State. You know, so a Nigerian, detribalize one of that, and the idea that you can actually carry the hopes and aspirations of these people, almost 11 to 12 million people that live in that senatorial district, and you're focused on actually making their lives better, not necessarily just trying to push to be governor in some other state. Being accessible, I think more than anything, when you're accessible, even when you don't know the pains and plights of people, just the fact that you can see what they're going through will sharpen you and make you better at solving problems.
Okay, we have this question here. This one comes in from Martins. He says, Mr. Gbadebo, you've been speaking well, but here's my question. The ports, roads, among other things that falls within the executive list and concurrent list, what is your plan for this list?
I believe he has answered the question, and you mentioned that he was under the purview of the governor of the state.
No, wait, you mix it up. The Senate's role is to fight for appropriation in the budget.
Right.
And that is what one would do. So like I said, dredging other ports, making sure that existing ports are refurbished and start being operational again. That's under the purview of the Senate. So you work with other senators in the House to ensure that you can get consensus to push these things into the budget.
Emmanuel from Apapa says his question is on the lines of corruption in the maritime, especially the traffic control, maritime industry and traffic control relationship. He said the bribes being collected contributes a lot to the current astronomical transport costs. If you know about this, why are you and your party not championing for change and pushing for catching those responsible and punishing them?
See, a lot of us in Nigeria always try to focus on not the ailment, the symptom. There's a bigger problem. The bigger problem is all these containers have to come to Lagos, right? And in that process of inefficiency, people take advantages and say, okay, you want your container to come out faster, give me 100,000. But if it was a similar system where you had like 5-6 ports, and you had that kind of clean, efficient, transparent system, these kind of people will not even exist. Right? So that's it. You see, a lot of corruption and bad governance thrives in mediocrity. So for instance, you want to get something pushed through the civil service, and just because of that, you have to go push your file from this table to another table, paying this and that. But if it was a digital system where you submit your application, someone goes through it, and it's automated, you will not be able to see that person to tip to move your file. So it's about making things more efficient, more transparent, and by God's grace, we're trying to do just that.
Thank you very much. We've had a very interesting conversation with you, Mr. Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour, the PDP Senatorial candidate for Lagos West. He's the voice you've been listening to, answering all these questions here on Lagos Talks 981. Thank you very much for coming to be part of the show today.
Thanks for having me.
And talking about transparency and well, accessibility in a digital world, how do people connect to you on social media?
My handles on Instagram, GRV Lagos, Twitter, GRV Lagos, on Facebook, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour.
So GRV Lagos.
GRV, Gbadebo Rhodes Vivour. So those are my initials. GRV.
It sounds like a car model.
A car to take Nigeria to greater heights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lagos from Kayode, Ayo, and myself, Valentine.
Good morning.
Good morning.